Javier Ruiz, a name that resonated strongly in the culinary scene of Mexico City, had emerged from the most humble places. Life dealt him a devastating blow when he was just a child, taking his father in an unexpected accident. His mother, a woman of unbreakable character, took on the role of the family pillar, working tirelessly to support her son and teach him the values of effort and perseverance. From a young age, Javier found a refuge in the kitchen, a space where he could lose himself among aromas and flavors that evoked happy memories of his childhood. Despite her long workdays, his mother always made sure to prepare meals that not only fed the body but also the soul. The afternoons in the kitchen, where he was her little helper, became the most precious moments of his day. Each recipe, each culinary trick, was a lesson he absorbed with unusual fervor. Over time, his passion turned into a purpose. He decided that the kitchen would not only be his vocation, but also his means to honor his mother's legacy and his own desire to excel. The first steps were not easy. He worked in various restaurants, often in harsh conditions and with long hours, but his determination never wavered. Every opportunity was another stone on the path to his dream. The real change came after years of hard work and dedication, when he managed to save enough to open his own restaurant. El Alma de Mexico quickly earned a special place in the hearts of diners. Located in the vibrant city center, the restaurant became a beacon of culinary excellence, known for its innovative fusion of modern techniques with traditional Mexican flavors. Javier's philosophy went beyond just preparing delicious dishes. For him, each meal was a story, an experience that should connect emotionally with his customers. His carefully crafted menu reflected his personal journey and roots, honoring both his mother and his country. The attention to detail, the quality of the ingredients, and the passion in every dish earned him praise and recognition. Soon, El Alma de Mexico was not just a place to eat, but a destination that attracted gourmets, critics, and food lovers from around the world. Awards and distinctions began to pour in, and Javier became a respected figure in the culinary world. However, despite his success, he always remained true to his humble origins and the values his mother had instilled in him. Amid the hustle and bustle of success, Javier never forgot the lessons of generosity and compassion he had learned in his youth. He knew that behind every face there was a story, and behind every story there was an opportunity to make a difference. This deeply rooted philosophy soon found a new expression when one night, closing the restaurant, he crossed paths with Luis, a street child selling flowers. Unknowingly, this fortuitous encounter would not only change Luis's life but also open a completely new chapter in Javier's and his restaurant's story. One night, as Javier was closing the restaurant after an especially exhausting day, something caught his attention. On the sidewalk near the entrance, a boy was selling flowers with a tired look and dirty hands, but with a spark of hope in his eyes. Luis, that was the boy's name, was about 10 years old and had a restless energy that contrasted with his shabby appearance. Javier felt a knot in his stomach as he saw the boy's fragility and determination. He remembered his own childhood, when he too struggled against adversity and couldn't help but feel moved. Javier approached with a kind smile and bought a bouquet of flowers. "What's your name?" he asked, handing over the money. "Luis," replied the boy in a soft but firm voice. "Do you like flowers, sir?" "I love them," said Javier, looking beyond the flowers and focusing on the brightness in Luis's eyes. "Where are your parents?" Luis hesitated for a moment before answering. "My sister and I live alone. She's over there." He pointed to a corner where a young girl, who didn't look much older than Luis, watched the scene cautiously. Javier's heart tightened when he saw the girl. Her name was Ana, and the protective look she gave her younger brother revealed a life of premature responsibility and sacrifice. Javier decided to invite them both to dinner at his restaurant, a gesture that felt necessary and natural. Luis and Ana entered the restaurant with a mix of amazement and shyness. The elegant interiors, finely set tables, and warm lighting were a completely different world from what they were used to. Javier led them to a table near the kitchen, making sure they felt comfortable. That night, Javier prepared a special meal for them. The dishes, carefully selected and presented with care, were not only a showcase of his culinary talent, but also an act of love and solidarity. As he served the food, he watched how the faces of Luis and Ana transformed, moving from surprise to joy and gratitude. The smiles that blossomed on their faces were a powerful reminder of the magic that food can have. During dinner, Javier listened attentively as Ana told their story. Just over a year ago, they had lost their mother, and their father, struggling with financial and health issues, had disappeared, leaving them alone. Since then, Ana and Luis had learned to survive on the streets, selling flowers and doing small jobs. Ana's determination and Luis's resilient spirit deeply impressed Javier. He offered them more than just a meal, a respite from their daily worries and a moment of normalcy and joy amidst their difficulties. When saying goodbye, Javier gave them his card and told them they would always be welcome at El Alma de Mexico. That night, as Javier closed the restaurant, he couldn't stop thinking about the siblings. He decided that he not only wanted to help them, but also be a constant presence in their lives. He couldn't change their past, but he could influence their future, offering them not only food but also opportunities and hope. This encounter was the first step in a relationship that would not only change the lives of Luis and Ana but also Javier's. The generosity and compassion he had learned from his mother now found a new expression, transforming his restaurant into a place of meeting and hope for those who needed it most. The next day, while Javier was attending to the daily tasks of the restaurant, he felt motivated by the encounter with Luis and Ana. He was determined to keep helping them, though he didn't yet know exactly how. Just at that moment, he saw Luis peeking timidly through the restaurant door. Seeing him, Javier smiled and invited him in. A few minutes later, Ana also entered, accompanied by a woman whose presence took Javier's breath away. Laura. Her name echoed in his mind like a memory from the past. She had been his childhood friend, the first person to inspire his love for cooking. They had spent countless afternoons cooking together in the small kitchen of his house, experimenting with ingredients and creating dishes that, although simple, were full of love and creativity. Seeing her again, after so many years, was an unexpected wave of nostalgia and emotion. Laura recognized him immediately too. Their eyes met, and for an instant, the entire restaurant disappeared, leaving them in a space where only their shared past existed. A mix of surprise, joy, and melancholy took over both of them. Javier, I can't believe it's you, Laura said, her voice breaking slightly. Laura, Javier responded, still incredulous. What are you doing here? How? She told him her story with the same frankness they had always shared as children. After moving with Luis's father, her life had become a constant struggle. The financial and health problems of her adoptive father had left them in misery, forcing her to care for her little brother and find ways to survive. Reuniting with Javier brought a wave of memories and emotions, but also a sense of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. Moved by her story, Javier felt a deep empathy for her and her brother. It wasn't just a matter of charity. He wanted to do something meaningful for them. Remembering the happy moments they had shared cooking together, an idea began to form in his mind. Laura, would you like to work here with me? The question came out of his mouth before he could think too much about it. I know you've been through a lot, but I want to offer you a place on my team. You and Luis deserve a chance to start over. Laura looked at him, surprised and grateful. It wasn't just a job offer. It was an opportunity to rebuild her life, to rediscover her passion, and to give her brother a future. Javier, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Really, thank you, she said, with tears in her eyes. It's the least I can do, Javier replied with a warm smile. You were my first inspiration in the kitchen. Now, I want to give a little of that back to you. Thus, Laura and Luis joined the El Alma de Mexico family. Laura began working in the kitchen, gradually recovering her love for cooking and her creativity. Luis, for his part, became an enthusiastic assistant, learning from Javier and Laura with a speed and passion that made it clear he had a bright future ahead. Reuniting with Laura not only revived old friendships, but also started a new chapter in their lives. Javier, Laura, and Luis, together again, began to weave a story of hope and renewal, with the kitchen as their common language and safe haven. Laura's return to the kitchen at El Alma de Mexico was a healing process for both her and Javier. However, not everything was easy at the beginning. Life had left deep scars on Laura, and her difficulties didn't magically disappear with the job offer. Each day brought a new challenge, but also a new opportunity to overcome it. In the first few weeks, Laura shared more details about the years she spent with Luis's father. The situation had been much more complicated than Javier had imagined. After her mother passed away, Laura was left in charge of Luis and had to face the burden of being a maternal figure at a young age. Her adoptive father, though loving, couldn't provide them with stability due to his health and economic problems. Many days went by without knowing if they would have a hot meal on the table. Despite the adversities, Laura never lost her love for cooking. She remembered the lessons she had learned from her mother and Javier in her childhood, and those memories gave her strength in the darkest moments. However, the lack of resources and constant stress eroded her confidence and ability to pursue her passion. Javier listened to every detail with empathy and determination. He wanted to do more than just offer her a job. He wanted to provide her with an environment where she could regain her confidence and joy in cooking. With this goal in mind, he integrated her into the restaurant's creative team, giving her the freedom to experiment and create. Laura, I want you to feel free to propose any idea. This restaurant is as much yours as it is mine, Javier told her with an encouraging smile. Though nervous at first, Laura began to show her natural talent and creativity. She recalled traditional recipes she had learned from her mother and began to fuse them with modern techniques. The results were impressive and started to attract even more attention to the restaurant. But more than external recognition, what truly mattered was Laura's renewed passion for cooking. Luis also thrived in this new environment. He watched his sister with admiration and got involved in everything he could. Javier taught him patiently, recognizing in the boy the same hunger for knowledge and love for cooking that he had at his age. The transformation of Laura and Luis didn't go unnoticed by the team at El Alma de Mexico. Their stories inspired everyone, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie and mutual support. The restaurant was not just a workplace, but a family united by passion and resilience. One day, after an especially successful service, Laura approached Javier with a look of gratitude. Javier, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. You've given me the opportunity to rediscover my love for cooking and given Luis a future I never thought possible. Javier smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Laura, you always had that talent and passion. You just needed a place where you could flourish. And Luis, well, he has a bright future ahead, thanks to you. Laura and Javier realized that the reunion had been more than a coincidence. It had been an opportunity to heal and grow together. The challenges of the past hadn't disappeared, but now they had the strength and mutual support to face and overcome them. With Laura on the creative team and Luis showing promising talent, El Almada, Mexico, not only maintained its prestige, but became a symbol of hope and renewal. Laura and Luis's story, marked by hardship and resilience, continued to be written, chapter by chapter, in every dish served at the restaurant. Over the months, El Alma de Mexico became a second home for Luis. His natural curiosity and enthusiasm for learning quickly made him stand out among the staff. Although he initially helped with simple tasks, his interest and dedication caught everyone's attention, especially Javier and Laura. Luis began by observing every movement, every technique. With keen eyes, he studied how the chefs chopped, seasoned, and cooked the ingredients with precision and art. As time went by, Javier and Laura started involving him in more complex tasks, recognizing his potential and wanting to nurture it. One afternoon, after the restaurant had closed and the team was preparing for the next day, Javier decided to teach Luis a special recipe, one his mother used to prepare for him. It was a dish not on the menu but held deep meaning for Javier. As he explained each step, he saw in Luis's eyes the same spark of passion he had when he was young. Luis, cooking is more than just preparing food. It's a way of expressing who we are and telling our stories, Javier said as he carefully added spices to the pot. Luis nodded, understanding every word. I want to learn everything I can, Javier. I want to be like you and Laura someday. Luis's words resonated deeply with Javier, who saw in the boy not only a student but someone who could transform his life through cooking. He decided to take Luis under his wing, dedicating time and effort to teach him everything he knew. Laura also played a crucial role in Luis's development. With patience and affection, she taught him techniques she had perfected over time, sharing stories and recipes she had learned from their mother. Luis absorbed each lesson with enthusiasm, impressing everyone with his ability to learn quickly and his innate creativity. Soon, Luis began proposing his own ideas and recipes. One day, he presented a dish inspired by the flavors of his childhood, using simple ingredients but combined innovatively. Javier and Laura tasted it and were amazed by the depth of flavor and originality of the dish. Luis, this is incredible. You have a natural talent, Laura said, proud of her younger brother. Javier nodded with a smile of satisfaction. You have a gift, Luis. I'm very proud of you. Luis's evolution was evident not only in the kitchen, but also in his behavior. He shed his initial shyness and began to show more confidence and determination. The other team members respected and encouraged him, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie and support that made El Alma de Mexico a special place. One day, during a charity dinner organized by the restaurant, Javier decided to take a bold step. He announced to the attendees that one of the dishes on the menu had been created by Luis, a young rising talent. The diners were impressed by the boy's story and the quality of the dish, praising Luis for his creativity and skill. Luis was overwhelmed with emotion and gratitude. That public recognition not only validated his hard work, but also marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Javier and Laura, watching him receive applause and congratulations, knew they had made the right decision by supporting and guiding him. Luis's evolution was a testament to the transformative power of passion, dedication, and community support. At El Alma de Mexico, he found not only a place to develop his skills but also a family that backed him at every step of his journey. And so, with every dish he prepared and every lesson he learned, Luis came closer to his dream of becoming a great chef, following in the footsteps of Javier and Laura. With Laura reintegrated into the culinary world and Luis adapting to his new life in the kitchen, El Alma de Mexico was experiencing a period of renewal and success. However, the road to the top is never easy, and Javier knew that each new achievement brought new challenges. The restaurant had gained even more reputation with the inclusion of Laura's innovative dishes and the freshness of Luis's ideas. However, this fame also attracted the attention of competitors who wanted to capitalize on the rise of high Mexican cuisine. New restaurants began to emerge in the city, some led by chefs with international trajectories, who sought to make a name for themselves in the vibrant culinary scene of Mexico City. The pressure to maintain excellence and innovation was constant. Every day, Javier felt the weight of expectations not only from his diners, but also from his employees, who depended on the restaurant's success. He knew he couldn't afford a single mistake. The slightest slip could cost them everything they had worked for. Amid this fierce competition, Javier began to notice some internal problems. The long working hours and the constant demand for creativity and perfection started affecting the team's morale. Some key staff members began to show signs of exhaustion and stress, which affected the dynamic and efficiency in the kitchen. Laura, always perceptive, noticed the growing stress in Javier. One night, after a particularly exhausting service, she found him in his office, reviewing sales figures and customer feedback with a worried expression. "Javier, we need to talk," she said, sitting down in front of him. "The team is exhausted, and so are you. If we continue like this, we're all going to burn out." Javier sighed, recognizing the truth in her words. "I know, Laura, but we can't let our guard down. The competition is fiercer than ever, and if we don't keep innovating, we could lose everything." Laura nodded, understanding his concern. "But we need to find a balance. We can't sacrifice our well-being and that of the team for perfection. Maybe we should focus on what makes us unique, on our roots and the story we want to tell with our food." Her words resonated deeply with Javier. He remembered why he had started El Alma de Mexico, to honor his roots, his story, and his mother's. He decided it was time to recalibrate their focus. They needed to return to the basics, to the essence of what made their restaurant special. With this new focus, Javier and Laura organized a series of meetings with the team to discuss new ideas and improve morale. They decided to incorporate more dishes that reflected the authenticity and tradition of Mexican cuisine, with a personal touch that told their stories. They also implemented measures to ensure the team had time to rest and recover, promoting a healthy and sustainable work environment. Meanwhile, Luis continued to grow and learn. His enthusiasm and passion were contagious, and his presence helped lift the team's spirits. In one of the meetings, he proposed an idea for a dish that combined modern techniques with traditional ingredients, inspired by a childhood memory. Javier and Laura were impressed and decided to include it in the new menu. The introduction of this renewed menu, focused on roots and authenticity, brought a breath of fresh air to the team and revitalized the spirit of the restaurant. The clients, both new and regulars, were delighted with the new dishes that not only pleased the palate but also told a story. However, the external challenges didn't cease. The competition remained intense, and maintaining the position at the top required continuous effort. But Javier, Laura, and Luis, along with their team, faced these challenges with renewed energy and a clear focus on what made El Alma de Mexico unique. They faced each day with the certainty that, as long as they stayed true to their roots and their passion for cooking, they could overcome any obstacle. This period of challenges and adaptations not only strengthened the restaurant but also those who were part of it, making it a beacon of excellence, innovation, and authenticity. In the culinary landscape of Mexico City, with the renewal of the menu and a renewed focus on their roots, El Alma de Mexico continued to thrive. Laura's influence was felt in every corner of the restaurant. Her ability to fuse traditional flavors with contemporary techniques attracted attention not only from regular customers, but also from food critics and high cuisine enthusiasts. Laura had worked tirelessly to create dishes that were not only delicious, but also told stories. Each recipe held a piece of her life, a memory, or a lesson learned in difficult times. Her creativity and passion revitalized the restaurant's menu, filling it with dishes that evoked the rich cultural heritage of Mexico and the personal history of those who prepared them. One day, while Javier was reviewing the restaurant's reservations, he noticed a significant increase in requests for private events and special dinners. The fame of El Alma de Mexico had grown, largely thanks to the magic Laura had brought. He decided it was time to share this success in a way that reflected the restaurant's values and mission. Javier and Laura organized a special event to officially launch the new menu. They invited critics, influencers, and loyal customers, hoping to show them not only the food, but also the story behind each dish. On the night of the event, the restaurant was filled with vibrant energy, promising an unforgettable culinary experience. Laura presented some of her most outstanding dishes, each accompanied by a brief story. She explained how she had learned to prepare tamales from her mother and how the cochinita pibil tacos were a tribute to her grandmother. Each dish was a celebration of her heritage and the people who had shaped her life. The attendees were fascinated, not only by the flavors, but also by the emotional depth of each presentation. One of the dishes that most impacted the guests was the mole poblano, a complex recipe that Laura had perfected over the years. As she served the dish, Laura recounted how her mother had taught her the patience and love necessary to prepare a good mole. The story moved the audience, making each bite more meaningful. Luis also had his moment to shine during the event. Javier invited him to the kitchen to present one of his own dishes, a modern version of traditional soaps, using fresh ingredients and an innovative presentation. The guests were impressed by Luis's creativity and execution, confirming his potential as a future chef. The success of the event was overwhelming. The praises did not take long to arrive, and the reviews highlighted not only the quality of the food, but also the story and passion behind it. Laura's influence had taken the restaurant to new heights, consolidating its place as a benchmark in high Mexican cuisine. But Laura's impact was not limited to the kitchen. Her presence and her story inspired the entire restaurant team. The cooks, waiters, and support staff found in her a role model, someone who had overcome enormous difficulties to become a key figure in the restaurant's success. Her resilience and ability to turn adversity into creativity became a constant source of motivation. Javier, observing the success of the event and the positive impact on his team, felt deeply grateful. He knew that without Laura, El Alma de Mexico would not be what it was. He decided to formalize his gratitude by proposing a partnership to Laura, recognizing her indispensable contribution and ensuring that her influence continued to shape the future of the place. Laura, you have made El Alma de Mexico a better place in every way, Javier said. One night after the last guests had left, I want us to be partners. This restaurant is as much yours as it is mine. Laura, surprised and emotional, accepted with tears in her eyes. She knew this was a recognition of all her effort and dedication. Together, as partners, they committed to continue elevating El Alma de Mexico and to keep telling their stories through each dish. Laura's impact had transformed the restaurant, but it had also transformed everyone who worked there, creating a legacy of excellence, innovation, and, above all, humanity. As El Alma de Mexico consolidated itself as one of the best restaurants in Mexico City, Luis's talent began to shine with surprising intensity. His dedication, creativity, and ability to learn quickly made him stand out more and more in the kitchen. What started as a simple curiosity had transformed into a burning passion that Javier and Laura could not ignore. One day, Javier decided it was time to test Luis's true potential. He assigned him the task of creating a completely new dish for the restaurant's tasting menu. He wanted to see how Luis handled the pressure and responsibility of creating something that represented El Alma de Mexico. Although nervous, Luis accepted the challenge with enthusiasm. He spent weeks experimenting with different ingredients and techniques, seeking a perfect balance between innovation and tradition. Laura and Javier observed him closely, offering advice and support, but giving him the freedom to explore and create. Finally, Luis presented his creation, a shrimp ceviche with mango and habanero chili, garnished with edible flowers and served in a seashell, symbolizing the fusion between the freshness of the sea and the richness of the Mexican land. The restaurant team gathered to taste the dish. Javier, with a smile of approval, took the first bite. The explosion of flavors was impressive. The sweetness of the mango, the spiciness of the chili, the freshness of the shrimp, and the delicacy of the flowers, combined in a perfect symphony. Laura, excited, also tasted the ceviche and couldn't help but feel proud of her younger brother. "Luis, this is incredible," said Javier, with genuine admiration in his voice. "You've created something truly special." The reaction from Javier and Laura was just the beginning. When the dish was introduced to the tasting menu, customers were amazed. The rave reviews quickly followed, and Luis's ceviche became one of the restaurant's most requested dishes. Luis, once a street child selling flowers, was now a young chef recognized for his talent and creativity. This success did not go unnoticed in the city's culinary scene. Other chefs and critics began to notice Luis, and his story became an inspiring example of how passion and opportunity can change lives. Javier, seeing the positive impact on Luis, decided to formalize his role in the restaurant. "Luis, I want you to be my official apprentice," Javier said one afternoon while they watched the restaurant's hustle and bustle from the kitchen. "You have a gift, and I want to help you develop it to the fullest." Moved by the offer, Luis accepted with gratitude. He began working more closely with Javier, learning not only advanced cooking techniques, but also the administrative and strategic aspects of running a successful restaurant. Laura, always a source of support and guidance, continued helping her brother perfect his skills and maintain the passion that drove him. Luis's progress was impressive. Soon, he was not only contributing his own creations to the menu but also beginning to teach other team members, sharing what he had learned, and helping to elevate the overall level of the restaurant. Javier and Laura saw in him not only an apprentice but a future leader who could take El Alma de Mexico to new heights. Over time, Luis began participating in local and international culinary competitions. His talent and his story of overcoming challenges earned him respect and admiration from his peers and judges. Every victory, every recognition, was a testament to his hard work and the invaluable guidance of Javier and Laura. In one of these competitions, Luis presented an elevated version of traditional soaps, using local ingredients and modern techniques. The dish was a resounding success, and Luis won first place, solidifying his reputation as one of the most promising young chefs in the city. Javier and Laura, present in the audience, applauded with pride and emotion. Luis's journey, from selling flowers on the streets to cooking in one of the best restaurants in Mexico City, was a story of transformation and hope. His natural talent, combined with the opportunity and support he found in Javier and Laura, had changed his life profoundly and irreversibly. Luis not only found a place in the culinary world, but also discovered his purpose and passion. With each new dish, each new creation, he continued to tell his story and honor his roots, while looking forward to a future full of possibilities. The success of El Alma de Mexico and Luis's evolution not only transformed their own lives, but also inspired the community around the restaurant. Javier, Laura, and Luis began to realize the power they had to make a difference beyond their kitchen and decided to leverage their success to help others. Javier always had a clear vision of the impact he wanted to have on society. He remembered his humble beginnings and how the generosity of others had been crucial to his success. Inspired by Luis's story, he decided that El Alma de Mexico could be much more than a restaurant. It could be a beacon of hope and a platform for change. One afternoon, Javier called a special meeting with the entire restaurant team. The employees gathered in the kitchen, curious about what Javier was going to announce. "I want El Alma de Mexico to be a place that not only serves exceptional food but also serves our community," Javier began, looking at each team member. "We have had a lot of success, and I believe it's our responsibility to give something back to the society that has supported us." He proposed the creation of a culinary training program for young people in difficult situations, similar to Luis's story. The program would offer these young people the opportunity to learn culinary skills, gain work experience, and, most importantly, find a sense of purpose and hope. Laura and Luis enthusiastically supported the idea, offering their own experiences and knowledge to develop the plan. "When Javier and Laura gave me an opportunity, it changed my life completely," said Luis, moved. "I want to do the same for other kids who are in the same situation I was in. Everyone deserves a chance to discover their passion." The program started with a small group of young people, selected in collaboration with local organizations that worked with street children and at-risk youth. The students arrived at the restaurant with a mix of nervousness and hope, not knowing they were about to embark on a journey that would change their lives. The first weeks were challenging. Many of the young people had no prior experience in the kitchen and carried the scars of their difficult circumstances. However, with the patience and support of Javier, Laura, and Luis, they began to open up and show their potential. The kitchen became a place of learning and healing, where each new dish prepared was a small personal triumph. Laura took charge of teaching them the basics of cooking, instilling in them her love for traditional flavors and the importance of dedication. Luis, with his contagious energy and innovative approach, showed them how creativity could transform even the humblest ingredients into culinary works of art. Javier, for his part, focused on instilling values of teamwork, perseverance, and resilience. One of the young people, Pedro, stood out for his natural talent for pastry. Although initially reserved, under the guidance of Javier and Laura, he began experimenting with recipes and creating desserts that amazed everyone. One day, he presented a tres leches cake with a touch of coffee and cocoa, inspired by the flavors he remembered from his childhood. The dessert became an immediate success among the restaurant's customers, and Pedro began to gain confidence in himself and his abilities. The training program not only benefited the young people, but also had a positive impact on the entire restaurant team. The employees, inspired by the stories of overcoming and the new energy brought by the students, worked with renewed passion and a sense of purpose. El Alma de Mexico became known not only for its excellent food, but also for its commitment to the community. Customers valued the fact that every meal they enjoyed contributed to a larger project, helping to change lives and build futures. Local media began to take an interest in the program, and soon, the story of El Alma de Mexico and its social impact was known throughout the city. Javier, Laura, and Luis received numerous accolades and recognitions, but what mattered most to them was seeing how the young people they had trained found their own paths and thrived. The community also began to get more involved, supporting the program through donations and volunteering. El Alma de Mexico organized charity events and special dinners where the students could showcase what they had learned and raise funds for the program. The restaurant, which had started as Javier's dream to honor his mother and his roots, became a symbol of hope and renewal. Luis and Laura's story of how they found a new beginning thanks to Javier's generosity was now reflected in the stories of many other young people. Together, they were building a legacy of culinary excellence and social commitment that would resonate for generations. In each dish served, in each young person trained, El Alma de Mexico told a story of resilience, hope, and transformation. Javier, Laura, and Luis knew they had created more than just a restaurant. They had created a community and a family united by passion, compassion, and the desire to make the world a better place. With the success of the training program and the growing influence of El Alma de Mexico in the community, Javier, Laura, and Luis began to see the tangible impact of their efforts. Each young person who passed through the restaurant carried with them a new story of hope and overcoming, and the atmosphere in the place was one of camaraderie and shared purpose. For Laura, working at El Alma de Mexico had been a profound transformation. She had not only found a space where her creativity and passion could flourish, but also rediscovered the joy of cooking, something she thought she had lost forever. Seeing her brother Luis grow and excel in the same environment filled her with indescribable pride. Additionally, Javier's decision to make her a partner in the restaurant had been a recognition of her value and dedication. Luis, on the other hand, had become a central figure in the restaurant. His talent and creativity were undeniable, and his story inspired everyone who knew him. As his confidence grew, so did his desire to learn and improve. He knew that his future was in the kitchen, and with Javier and Laura as mentors, he was determined to seize every opportunity. One day, Javier gathered Laura and Luis to discuss his plans for the future. "I've been thinking about how we can expand our impact," Javier said with a reflective smile. "I think it's time to open a second restaurant, one that continues our mission of culinary excellence and community support." Laura and Luis exchanged looks of surprise and excitement. The idea of expanding was ambitious, but both trusted Javier's vision and his ability to carry it out. "Where do you plan to open it?" asked Laura, eager to know more details. "I want to open it in an area where we can have an even greater impact," Javier replied. "There are many communities in Mexico City that could benefit from a place like El Alma de Mexico. I want our new restaurant to be a beacon of hope and opportunity, just like this one." The decision to open a second restaurant brought a torrent of emotions and planning. Laura and Luis dove into the project with the same fervor and dedication they had shown in their first restaurant. They worked on the design of the new space, developed a menu that reflected the fusion of tradition and innovation that had made them famous, and recruited a team that shared their passion and commitment. The new restaurant, named Races de Mexico, opened its doors a few months later. The inauguration was an emotional and expectation-filled event. The young people, trained in the first restaurant, were there to support and celebrate, many of them now working as chefs and sous chefs in the new establishment. The opening of Races de Mexico not only marked a new chapter in the lives of Javier, Laura, and Luis, but also in the community they served. The restaurant quickly became a landmark, known not only for its exceptional food, but also for its commitment to social and community development. They offered free cooking workshops for young people, organized charity events, and continued the training program, expanding it to include more participants. Laura found in Races de Mexico a new challenge and a new opportunity to grow. Her role as a partner and head chef led her to explore new culinary frontiers and continually innovate. Her leadership and ability to inspire others made her a respected and admired figure in the culinary scene. Luis, meanwhile, stood out as a rising star. His innate talent and dedication led him to participate in international culinary competitions, winning awards and recognition. His story of personal overcoming and his ability to create dishes that told stories resonated with judges and audiences alike. The success of Races de Mexico and El Alma de Mexico solidified Javier's vision of using cooking as a means for social change. Each dish served, each young person trained, was a reaffirmation that talent and opportunity could transform lives. Over time, Javier, Laura, and Luis looked back, reflecting on the incredible journey they had shared. From Javier's humble beginnings, through Laura's difficulties and resilience, to Luis's transformation and success, their story was a testament to the power of passion, generosity, and community. Races de Mexico and El Alma de Mexico were not just restaurants. They were symbols of hope, places where dreams could come true and where each new beginning was celebrated. For Javier, Laura, and Luis, the future was full of possibilities, and they knew that together they could face any challenge and create a lasting legacy of excellence and humanity. What an exciting journey we've just experienced together. But this is only the beginning. Click on the next video that appears on your screen and keep enjoying amazing content. If you want me to keep bringing you these stories every day, consider supporting me with a coffee through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment. Your support is what makes it possible for me to keep telling these stories. See you in the next video.